Hello everybody, it's Michelle, and I'm here with a book review. Today the book review is on Looking for Alaska by John Green. This is a wonderful book. This book, I gave it a solid 4 stars. It wasn't the best thing since sliced bread, so I guess that's why I didn't give it a 5, but it was very close. This book was, I haven't read a book like this in a really long time. I mean, I'm so caught up with everybody else with like paranormal romance and fantasy and sci-fi and dystopia that I haven't really read contemporary books just about life nowadays in the world, you know? And this book, which is John Green's first book, I believe, I was told to read John Green in publication order, so I am going to. I think that it'd be really cool to see him grow as a writer in that respect. But I love this book because the language, first of all, is good. It's not too juvenile. There's a lot going on. I really like the characters. They're all so well developed, and it's like they're developed before I even met them. So I like that. I like that I don't have to be explained. Like they don't have to explain the characters to me. It's almost like they explain themselves through their actions and through other people's observations and things like that. And I really love some of the more esoteric things that are brought up in this book, especially like Pudge, for example. Pudge, for example, is looking for this great perhaps. And I think that a lot of people at his age, you know, mid to late teens, they're thinking like, what if, you know, where am I going? What's it all about? And that reminds me of me and how I've been pretty much my whole life. So I really connected with this search for, you know, that great adventure or that great perhaps. I also really loved the character development that, you know, Pudge loves the people's last words. I thought that was such a unique thing. I've never, you know, there's just such a cool thing to be defined by in this book. I loved Alaska. She was really great too. I mean, she was also asking those esoteric questions like about the labyrinth. How do I get out of here? And, you know, it really caused the characters to think, which further helped their development. But it got me thinking too, and I really like books that make me do that. I felt like the conversations in this book were very believable. I hate books where the conversation is so stereotypical, it's expected, it's like the slang is overly used to make it seem more natural, even though it's actually doing the opposite. But in this book, I felt like, you know, they were saying things that normal people would say and that weren't written down prior to them being said. And I really like that in all the books. I think I said the same thing about The Daughter of Smoke and Bone with the way that they were speaking. I think that it just came very natural. And I also really enjoyed being in Pudge's head the whole time. I'm glad that I could see things through his eyes. So that was really neat. Also, I think this was probably the most cool thing about this book. Like, the whole time you're reading, you have like 110 days before. 110 days before, 80 days before, this many days before, and you're like, before what? What's going to happen? So that kept you reading because you didn't know what we were talking about. Then there's an incident, and I'm not going to give it away because it is a spoiler, and then after that incident happens, everything says, you know, 20 days after, 100 days after, and I like that separation of the story. I think that that's really, really cool. And on the back, too, it says before and after. So, and I feel like there's no spoilers. Like, the back, it doesn't give you away in any spoilers. And I really enjoy that, too, because I don't want to know what that big thing is. I don't want to know what happened before or after. I don't want to know what that event was until I've read it. And honestly, when I did, I cried. So, I mean, this book is maybe even like a 4.5 because, I mean, it takes a lot for a book to make me cry. And I guess I was just so invested in these characters that it just really pulled on my heartstrings when I found out what happened. And I just wasn't expecting it either. It was so random to me. I mean, maybe some people saw it coming. I did not. Um, I love this kind of like old story of friends going through tragedy and then coming together on the other side and being there for each other and learning from things that happened and not letting that trauma destroy their lives completely, but instead learning from them. And I love that. This is like a life lesson book. This is sort of a coming of age, sort of a tale, especially coming of age emotionally and mentally, because this is a lot to deal with, in my opinion. So I really liked everything about this book. I really don't think there was anything that I could say that was bad. And now that I'm thinking of it, I don't know why I didn't give it a 5. I guess, 5 just has to be something so different and so crazy that I can't put the book down. And while this book I did finish pretty quickly, I could leave the story for a period of time and not be fazed by that. So I guess that's why I didn't give it a 5. But I think that John Green is fantastic. Not to mention that discovering this book led me to John Green and Hank Green's channel, The Vlog Brothers, which I'd never heard of before. And so, reading this book and then watching some of the Vlog Brothers and, becoming a nerd fighter and all of those things, it's just so cool for all of those things to come together at the same time for me. And so I would highly recommend Looking for Alaska by John Green. And I know it's preemptive, but I would even say I'd just recommend John Green in general. He seems like an amazing person, and I just can't imagine how I could read one of his books and it would be bad. So I actually plan on reading all of his books over the next year. They are all on my list, and but I am going to read them in publication order. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to read The Fault in Our Stars until probably mid to the end of the year, just because I have so many other books that I'm going to be reading. And I've heard so many amazing things about that book from John Green, from different lists and organizations that have rated it and people. I've never heard anybody say anything bad about a John Green book, ever. So I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, Looking for Alaska, John Green. Go out and buy it if you haven't already. He's fantastic. So thanks for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. And if you'd like some more information on my reviews on Looking for Alaska or anything else, you can find me on Goodreads. And I do try to rate and write a review for each book that I've been reading, especially within the past year. So check those out. I'll put the link in the bottom bar, and I look forward to seeing you there. Bye, guys. Thanks for watching.